Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Is 2024, is this the year of the Vols? Is this where we finally turn the corner? You got to be happy with what Josh Heupel has done in just 3 years at Tennessee, right? He goes out, wins 7 games that first year. 2022, 11 wins, Orange Bowl victory. Huge year for Hendon Hooker. Should have been in New York. He should have represented this university in New York, but he didn't. We understand that that's the way things happen when you are a Tennessee Volunteer. Last year maybe didn't play out the way that we wanted, but I think things are moving in the right direction. I think 2024, it's do or die. I think this is the year of the Volunteer. Can we get that top 5 class in the class of 2025? You go take a look at who is committed right now for Tennessee, and they're sitting at 11th. And look, it's early in the process, right? We're in a dead period right now. There's going to be a lot of visits that take place throughout the spring, and then we'll have some official visits over the summer. A lot of these kids want to make a decision before they go in to their senior year of high school football. But you look at what we've got in the boat right now, and it all starts with George MacIntyre, the number 1 player in the state of Tennessee. An absolutely huge commitment for Josh Heupel. He went out and got his guy. I saw one person say, the window of success for Josh Heupel went from 2 years now to 4 years. And you're talking about Nico. You're talking about George. You got 4 years, maybe 5 years worth of solid quarterback play. At least that's the expectation. So I think that opens up the window just a little bit more. But I still think this class of 25, I think it's crucial for Josh Heupel to turn that corner. You look at the rest of the class here. Jack Van Doorsayer, a really solid tight end prospect, 6'5", 230-pound, 4-star tight end. Justin Baker, 3-star running back. You got Dylan Lewis, a 3-star corner. Joakim Dodson, the most recent addition to the class, 3-star wide receiver, in-state kid out of Memphis, Tennessee. Did a commitment video on him. If you missed it, go back, give it a watch. I'll link it at the end of this video, and then it rounds out with Tyler Redmond. But again, the foundation is there with George MacIntyre, and that's going to be the guy you lean on. That's going to be your peer recruiter, and he's already done that, right? We talk about the relationships that George MacIntyre has, guys like David Sanders, 5-star offensive tackle out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We've talked about Caleb Cunningham, a 4-star wide receiver out of Mississippi. Jamie French. I think Jamie French could be your Mike Matthews in this class, that big-time elite wide receiver prospect. He's a 5-star out of Jacksonville, Florida, was once committed to Alabama. Nick Saban rides off into the sunset. Jamie French decommits, having constant communication with George MacIntyre. And then also Cameron Sparks is another one that we've talked a lot about, 4-star wide receiver out of Chattanooga, plays 7-on-7 with George MacIntyre. But this is an interesting one. I was listening to the guys over at On3. They had Matt Ray on the show, and he was talking a little bit about recruiting. He was talking about George and the relationships, but he mentioned an elite defensive prospect. I want you guys to take a listen to what Matt Ray had to say about Jordan Young, 4-star safety out of Monroe, North Carolina. Let's take a listen.
And George MacIntyre's working the recruiting trail extremely hard right now for Tennessee. And it's not just wide receivers, it's offensive linemen, it's safeties. We were in North Carolina this past week at Monroe High School, home of Jordan Young, the top athlete in the 2024 On3 rankings. Yeah. And one of the things he brought up to me was like, hey, George MacIntyre's my guy. It was kind of funny to hear that, from a safety. But, Cameron's.
So again, he's talking about all the relationships that we know, that we're aware of, but then he mentions Jordan Young, an elite prospect. He's the top 50 player according to On3, 247 Sports, and ESPN. Rivals has him just a little bit lower, but says George is my guy. So George is recruiting. George is in the boat, and it's huge for Josh Heupel. We're going to talk a little bit about Jordan Young. We're also going to talk about another elite linebacker prospect that dropped his top 8. Tennessee made the cut, but before we do that, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up just below the video. Hey, it's quick, it's free, it's easy, it helps the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts, we're not insiders, we're not media. We don't talk at you here, we talk with you. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe, click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. You want to support a little bit more, hit that join button down below. This channel is for the fans, by the fans, but it is also fan funded. You want to become a member of the channel, hit that join button. You can do that for just $1. We would greatly appreciate it. But let's jump right into it. Let's talk about Jordan Young. That's who Matt Ray was talking about. VolQuest crew was out there in North Carolina visiting some of these prospects. Jordan Young says, man, George MacIntyre is my guy. Again, you can see there the On3 industry rankings have him as the 53rd best player in the country. That is elite. Number 2 ranked athlete. He plays safety. Tennessee likely recruiting him to play that safety position. One of the top players out of the state of North Carolina. 6 foot, 170 pounds. Now, something else worth noting, the connection. Jordan Young is the cousin of former Vol Byron Young. So Tennessee's got that in their favor. Does Tennessee legitimately have a shot here? I went and checked out what Austin Price had to say about Jordan Young. He says Tennessee is in it deep with this one, but also Florida State and Clemson. Now, he plans to take some visits over the spring. Wants to drop a top 5 or 6 heading into some official visits over the summer, and then he wants to make that decision before he goes into his senior season. Again, that's the way recruiting seems to play out now in 2024. We'll keep you up to date right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. All the guys that are going to be taking visits throughout March, throughout spring practice, when they set up their officials, we're going to cover it all right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network, so make sure that you are dialed in. Something he talked about with Tennessee is constant communication, and I've seen this from him, also the other prospect we're going to get into, but a lot of these guys that Tennessee targets, they talk about Tennessee being in constant communication. Here's a quote that he gave on 3. He said, some schools just offer you to offer you. Said they don't always stay in touch with the communication, but the schools I have on my list have been, and Tennessee is one of those schools that constantly communicates with me. Just like at how those schools, they develop their players. He goes on to talk about Tennessee, says that the message has been clear, that it is not a 3 to 4 year decision. This is a lifetime decision, and if I come to Tennessee, I will be set up for life. He talks about Heupel. He says he cares about his players. He develops his players, and the proof is in the pudding. He said Tennessee is a great place, small town, and they care about sports. It is a good place to be. So that is 4-star athlete, safety, Jordan Young, who again says George MacIntyre is my guy. Let's go take a look at another elite prospect on the defensive side of the ball. That's Dante McKnight. He's a 4-star linebacker out of Canton, Ohio, but you can see there on the screen earlier this week he drops his top 8. He's got Tennessee up there in the mix. He's got Kentucky, Louisville, Michigan State, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Rutgers, Tennessee, and West Virginia. I saw an article with 247 Sports back in December. He said that Southern Cal, Kentucky, and Tennessee were the 3 schools that stood out the most to him. But you can see there Southern Cal is not in his top 8. So maybe it's a Tennessee-Kentucky type of battle. But let's pull up his profile, take a look. Again, this is an elite-level linebacker when you look at the On3 industry rankings. Top 300 guy, 272nd nationally, 29th best linebacker in the country, 6'3", 200 pounds out of Canton, Ohio. So again, drops his top 8 earlier in the week. Tennessee actually been visited him back in January at his school. He was in town last year for Tennessee's win over Texas A&M. So he's been here on game day, seen that environment. That was a sloppy, ugly game that was won with defense and special teams. You know, a lot of times we think Josh Heupel, we think you go out, you score 50 points, you blow teams out, that's how you win, but not that game against Texas A&M. It was gritty, it was dirty, they showed off their defense, they showed off their special teams, and I like that. Again, kind of similar to Jordan Young, he plans to take some visits this spring, wants to come see Tennessee, take in a spring practice, also plans to take an official visit to Tennessee, Louisville, Michigan State, and then either Kentucky or West Virginia. Now, you know, something that you got to consider is Brian Jean-Marie is off to Michigan. This is what he had to say about Tennessee. Says they play SEC football. They're a very strong contender. They're a good football team. He goes on to talk about Coach Brian Jean-Marie. Says he loves me. Says I've talked to the head coach, Josh Heupel, over the phone. I love the hospitality at the game. They were very nice to me. But again, Brian Jean-Marie now off to Michigan. Tennessee looking to replace their linebacker coach. He's actually visited Michigan before, but he had not received an offer as of the time of this video. So is that a concern? Is that something to keep an eye on, that relationship with Brian Jean-Marie? Does Michigan offer? And then we lose a little steam there. He talked about his priorities, what's important to him. He says what's important is how honest the coaches are, playing time, the chance to graduate, how how I will be developed. He says, I have dreams of playing in the NFL, and I want to be at a place where I can be successful in life and work on my dreams without being distracted. So again, going to take in some visits over the spring, plans to take some officials over the summer, and then he is planning to make his decision on his birthday, which is August the 11th. But I wanted to put out a quick recruiting update, give you a couple of elite prospects on the defensive side of the ball. Jump in the comment section. Let me know. What do you think about Jordan Young? How much of an impact does George MacIntyre have? You know, when we talk about David Sanders and Cunningham and French and all the guys on the offensive side of the ball, how much pull does he have with a guy like Jordan Young, who's on record of saying, that's my guy? How much pull does he have with a guy like Dante McKnight? But let's talk about it in the comment section. As always, smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. But that is going to do it for this one. Go check out the merchandise, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We will catch you guys, hopefully make a couple of videos over the weekend. We'll see what's going on. Does the NCAA investigation, do we get some type of resolution there? Any news on the coaching search, we'll keep you guys up to date. But this is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.